Everyday me, everyday God. Sound bars and hearing. Yesterday, my husband and I were working at connecting a sound bar to our TV. Our hearing isn't quite so good, quite the same as it used to be, so we are adding a sound bar to help bring clarity, to help bring an accuracy in what we're hearing, so that we can understand what we're actually watching when we want to watch something. And it was very interesting because as we were connecting it, there were some very small little connector cables. Little connector cables that went into this very little indent in the back of the TV, and our old fingers were finding it very hard to push the little connector up into the right slot to connect completely. New technology, new equipment. And as I was thinking about that, I thought about how in our own family we are having some discussions that are upgrading our sound bar. We're trying to hear one another in new ways. We're trying to have a clearer accuracy about what we're hearing so that we might understand better. And as I was thinking about both the sound bar on our TV and the sound bars inside our family communications, I was thinking about how often I've heard people say, I don't trust you, or children to parents or parents to children, I don't trust you. And how I've also heard, well, it's not that I don't trust you, it's I don't trust them, or I don't trust that circumstance. And I thought how hearing and communication and understanding have to do with trust. And I thought trust is a very interesting thing because it sounds like it should be so easy. But trust is actually something that we build brick by brick by brick to build a relationship that is secure, has a secure foundation. And just two aspects of trust. One is when we trust the character of that person we're engaged in trying to trust, in working at trust, in improving trust. Do I trust they have good intentions for me? Do they trust that I have good intentions for them? I want good for them. So there's something about trusting the character of the other person in that relationship. But it's not just character. I think it's also about trusting their capacity to know and understand my context, or for me to understand their context. There's something about a capacity, a competency inside understanding. So character and capacity to get it. That made me think about an experience that we read about with Jesus and his followers in Mark chapter 4, where they're in a boat going across the Sea of Galilee, and a big storm and squall kind of rises up, and the followers of Jesus are terrified. The storm is that big. Now, half these people who were followers in the boat were fishermen, and they were terrified. These are people who live on the water, who make a living on the water, who understand the water, and they were terrified of this storm. You ever been terrified of the storms of your life? Even when it is so known? Doesn't that happen in our families sometimes? Anyway, the disciples in the boat begin looking around the boat to find Jesus. And where is he? He's snoring contentedly in the stern. I mean, Jesus. And they go and they wake him up and they shake him and they say, don't you care that we might drown? Isn't that what we do with Jesus? Don't you care what's happening here? Don't you care? And Jesus gets up, he stands up, and with authority, he shouts at the storm and he says, "Be quiet, be still." And suddenly, the external storm quiets down. But the internal storm in the followers of Jesus has not quieted it down. It's still a little stormy inside. So then Jesus turns to them and he says, "Why are you so afraid? Don't you trust? Don't you have faith in me?" Well, that's the question, isn't it? Trust. Do we trust the other? Do we trust Jesus? And I was thinking about these storms, and I thought in relationships that are really important to us, when we begin to put new sound bars in and listen more carefully, we're going to start hearing things that are quite stormy inside, frightening inside. Lots of questions inside. And it comes up, do we trust that person? Are we willing to trust more? Are we willing to overcome our fears and trust more? And as I was thinking about it, I thought, oh, there's a step beyond trust. So when we go into new sound bars with new equipment and we hear again in new ways in the current context of today, it's like we've been holding on, and it's like we have to pry our fingers open to trust that that other person has good intentions for me, while they have to pry their fingers open to decide if they can trust that I have good intentions for them. And then we open our hands to see what is happening. And I think that is not the end yet. It's the next step, I think, is we entrust our own selves with our open hand, and we entrust their open hands to us. We entrust all of it, all of us, into the hands of our Creator God, who designed and made us, the God who knows who we are, knows our desires, knows what we long for in connecting with those we love. And it's as if until we open our hands and entrust one another into the hands of God, we actually can't put those little fine connector cables in. But when we've opened our hands and trust our Creator God, it's as if our Creator God Himself will insert the cables and build trust. Even when it's risky, even when the stakes are high. That's what we're trusting and entrusting the people we love in communication. So in the storms, the external storms, Jesus quieted the external storms so that we might address the internal storms of what we're afraid of and what you are inviting us to trust and what you're inviting us to entrust and who you're inviting us to entrust into your capable hands. Amen.